And now the astronauts are filming the Earth for the latest IMAX space movie called Blue Planet. To translate the vantage point of the space shuttle to IMAX film, and she sees the entire west coast of the United States. The Bay Area is passing by at the bottom of the screen. Down the center stretches the green San Joaquin Valley. The snow-covered mountains on the left are the Sierra Nevada Range, and the cloud bank on the right follows the Pacific coast to Los Angeles and beyond. Now the shuttle flies over the Gulf of Mexico, with New Orleans near the lower center of the screen. On the left, the coast of Texas disappears beneath the cloud cover. And to the north, a thin line of clouds follows the Mississippi River. Soon the astronauts look straight down on southern Florida, crossing Lake Okeechobee and the string of cities along the Atlantic coast from West Palm Beach to Miami. Inland, the Everglades run south to the Florida Keys. Now the shuttle flies over the Caribbean, leaving behind the Florida Peninsula and the western tip of Cuba on the upper left.
Okay, we did get the Madagascar pass. We think Bruce got from the west coast all the way to the east coast. There was a little bit of haze down there, but we were getting, it looked pretty good.
All too soon, the shuttle flight is over. And like all photographers, the astronauts are eager to get a look at their pictures.
Well, I'm having a hard time. There's a coast.
See, I can only now.
This is not the Texas storm, but I can't tell where that coast is.
See, I haven't been able to envision what
It's in my. I think I wrote it down. We got to go back and look at our notes.
We have it logged.
I can't remember.
For the astronauts, it's almost like being back up in space aboard the shuttle. And now it's your turn. You are about to blast off on your own shuttle flight. You'll make one sensational orbit of the Earth. You'll see the finest of the films shot by the astronauts, including spectacular views from the IMAX movie Blue Planet. Charlie Bolden, Kathy Sullivan, and fellow astronaut John Blaha will be your guides on this unprecedented tour. Your rocket is on the path. We're about to lift off on a trip around the world aboard the space shuttle. Strap in and get ready for an astronaut's eye view of the Earth. In less than 2 minutes, we leave behind the blue band of the Earth's atmosphere and penetrate the black of space. Soon we'll reach our orbiting altitude, about 180 miles high. The shuttle always flies east, but there are windows all around the cabin. Out the window on our left stretches the east coast of the United States, from Long Island to Atlantic City and the long arm of the Chesapeake Peninsula. Looking south from this height, we can see the entire island of Cuba surrounded by coral reefs. The varying depths of the Caribbean show up clearly as shades of green and blue. Part of the Bahamas island chain. Soon we'll be over the open Atlantic Ocean. Astronaut John Blaha.
Our planet is predominantly water.
even from 400 miles out in space, the oceans go from being deep blue, almost black, to the point where they start taking on colors of...
In 10 minutes, we cross the Atlantic to discover the Strait of Gibraltar. Europe is on the left, Africa on the right, and the Mediterranean Sea dead ahead.
The gates of the Mediterranean here by Gibraltar are one of my favorite sites. It's another one of those places where you find yourself mixing in historical recollection.
Across the center of the screen, the English Channel that separates Britain from France and the continent of Europe. Under the clouds and haze, it's sometimes hard to follow the coastline. But the boot and heel of Italy are like a map come to life. Further east, Greece and the Aegean Sea.
I grew up a sort of amateur, avid geographer, always poring over maps, always wondering about the world and studying different...
Like on the atlas or the globe or stuff, and you go, holy gee, what is that? I know what it ought to be, but it just doesn't, it all blends in together. But my first flight, I was lost all the time.
We're coming up here onto the Namib Desert in southwestern Africa. Those dunes may not look too terribly impressive in this scene, but they're actually hundreds to, in some cases, about 1,000 feet high. And again, you see signs of cold water offshore over which that dense, low-lying cloud has formed. This is the area that the 17th and 18th century sailors, 19th century sailors used to call the Skeleton Coast, and it becomes kind of easy to tell why when you see how desolate it looks.
This is one of my favorite views because you're looking at the Horn of Africa, the big chasm between Africa and Asia, where, you know, plate tectonics have caused one continent to separate away from the other. And it's most vivid in that particular region of the world, more so than any other place I can remember, where you get the feeling that you can actually see these two continents in real motion, real time, pulling away from each other.
The Middle East, the Nile River in Egypt, and the fork of the Red Sea that shapes the Sinai Peninsula.
In talking to kids, you know, we have the history of mankind. And just about every kid, no matter what his religious background is, have heard about people like Moses. And, you know, you say, well, what do you know about Moses? And they say, well, I think that's the kid that, you know, his mother put him in the basket and put him out. And I said, okay, see that river right there? That's the very river. And if you follow up the river, if you go up it a little bit, you can actually see the V or the triangle of the Nile Delta. Because it's very green in comparison with the rest of the Sahara Desert around it. And I say, you know, I can't tell you exactly where it happened, but somewhere right around in there, you're looking at where that took place. And then I said, what else do you know about Moses? And they said, well, I think that's the guy that took a staff and did something and parted the water or something. And, you know, you can look at it and you can see how, well, I think it's believable. And, but there's a lot of history just in that one shot.
This is the head of the Persian Gulf in the aftermath of the Desert Shield, Desert Storm campaigns, those great big black swaths that you see originating from at least 3 different regions. Something on the order of 600 or more wells.